Possum Patty here. It is May 28th and I am nature journaling, and we're having a little bit of a mizzle, a misty drizzle today.
So I got to use my favorite weather word today, mizzle, which is a combination of mist and drizzle. And I made up a weather sign for it. 2 straight lines is a light fog or a mist, and the 2 apostrophes is for a steady drizzle. I saw so many different things on my long walk down the left side of the old track today. But first I stopped to watch the busy bumblebees in the rhododendron.
I'm standing by a rhododendron watching the bumblebees.
They have a pollen basket on their hind legs. It's really a cavity surrounded by fringed hairs that collect the pollen. But you can see the 2 yellow bumps on the sides of the back legs of the bumblebee when they're out collecting the pollen. I call this a bumblebee and her basket.
Wow, this rhododendron is really blooming. More happy bumblebees. The shrub is just full of blossoms. And what I've learned with each big bunch of these flowers is called a truss. Look at the size of this one. That's all one.
I noticed the hole in the trunk of a tree and wondered if anybody lives there.
Oh, I bet you something lives in that hole. On this tree. Over by the wood pile. There's actually 2 old tracks, and today I'm walking down the one that's on the left, coming from the house.
A little further down from that tree, I stepped into the woods.
Past the drain field. And I'm going to walk down towards the stone wall and see what's growing over there.
And right away noticed something hopping at my feet. I didn't get a good picture of it, but I did get a good look, and it was a spring peeper. Part of the spring peeper's name is crucifer, and that means cross bearer. If you look closely at a spring peeper, they have a dark cross on their back. They have large pads on their feet for climbing, but they're quite at home in a leaf litter on the forest floor. But they are very tiny. It's hard to see them with their camouflage. They're usually only 1 to 1.5 inches long. I noticed a greenbrier vine growing. I like the shape of their leaves.
So I walked into the ferns for a little bit and I saw this little vine with the prickers on it. It looks like a greenbrier.
Then I found a really nice patch of Christmas ferns.
I don't think I've ever walked over here before. This is close to the lane. In from the old track. Past the drainage field. And back here, I do see a really nice green Christmas fern Moved a couple of sticks out of the way. And there's some little Christmas ferns growing down here. And one nice big one. Oh, and look at this. It's making spores. That's interesting.
I brought in a piece of the Christmas fern to study, and I drew it down here at the bottom of the page because the back of the leaflet was covered with sori. One of these little green dots is called a sorus, and it is made of tiny spheres called sporangium. And each of these is like a packet containing a large number of spores. And spores are the way it reproduces. The tissue on top of the sorus is called indusium, and this protects the clump of sporangium. I found some Canada mayflowers, and they were blooming.
There's some pretty Canada mayflowers blooming back here. One little tiny spot of red caught my eye. Partridge berry at the base of this little tree.
And then I found some lady ferns.
And here's another fern. Has a dark rachis. Looks like a lady fern, but you gotta check the spores, which are just forming, but they're very light. Oh, there they are. You can see them on the bigger leaf.
I checked the back of the leaflets to see if there was any sori, and they were just beginning to form, but you could already see their kidney-shaped indusium.
And next to the lady fern is another little bunch of jack-in-the-pulpits, but none of them are blooming.
And then another new discovery, the New York ferns.
And I think I have another new fern. See how the leaflets get really small at that end? And then they get wider. And then they narrow down again. There's a little one over here. And one growing up here. Looks like a couple over there. I got to remember where these are growing. Right by the lane, by the circle, on the other side of the stone wall. And looks like there's a whole patch of them here. Good to know.
I stopped to look at some sphagnum moss, some polytrichum or hairy cap moss, and some bog moss.
Look at this really nice patch of that polytrichum moss. And there's some sphagnum moss. And I believe some bog moss over there.
I also saw some lady's thumb plants and a blooming rush.
I think this is the lady's thumb because it's got the thumbprint on it.
I want to thank everyone for coming along today on my Nature Journal adventure, and especially Susie, hi Susie, and Rachel, hi Rachel. Bye-bye now.